Hello, everybody. Mariner here. Welcome to Net That Hall and the matchup show, which doesn't have the person doing the matchups because some morons cut through his internet cable. But we do have Siva here with us from FPL Banger. Siva, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Mariner. Glad to be here. I'll do my best Gabe impression.
So what are you going to do then? Take the piss out of Gareth Bale for the next 90 minutes or something like that?
He's not invested at all. He's playing golf. He's never going to score another goal.
Yeah. Thanks, Gabe. Fucking hell. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, it says it all when, you know, we're actually going to do team reviews today because since though we didn't do the Compass show. Now, to be honest with you, and be brutally honest with the guys who are watching this, we genuinely did have personal issues. It wasn't the fact that I got 20 points and I couldn't be asked to do it. We generally just had problems. So, so we're going to do these today. I mean, look, what I'm just going to say to everybody as usual, Siva, is like yourselves, like the Banger Committee, which you do, and I've just listened to actually, it's fabulous stuff. We're also a pod. So if you guys want to pick us up on the podcast, please do so. And we've now hit 400 subscribers on YouTube. So, woohoo! Woo. So for tiny acorns, right? I think that's what you say. I mean, we're nothing like the size of some of these pods, but YouTube channels, but we're getting that way anyway. So let's hope it moves in the right, continues to move in the right direction. So right, I don't think there's anything else to do apart from get going and just see quite how badly that we both did. Right. And, you know, as you mentioned, and I loved what you say, so I stole that, you know, we had expected fans protest, right? Is that we don't have XG, we have expected fans protest.
XFP, you really got to look out for it.
Yeah, XFP with that fucking troll in that corner of the screen doing that to me. Bastard. Right, let's go. Let's go. I don't know who's first now. I can't even think who's first, me or you. Oh, God, it's me. And look, I haven't put the score up there because I think you can add it up. It won't take long. 20.
It's a nice round number.
Oh man, it's the worst. I think it's the lowest. I think it's the lowest score I have ever got in FPL. Ever.
That's amazing. Because you were on track for your highest rank ever in FPL.
I was.
Right?
I was. I've gone from 3,000 to 56,000 in 5 weeks.
Whew. But you know, still. I mean, if there was ever a week to do badly, this was the week to do it. To be fair.
I didn't actually drop that far and dropped 20,000, and I was about 7 million. So I mean, 7 million game rank. I mean, God, look at it. Martinez 2 points. Are they going to keep a clean sheet again this season? I don't think so. I'm even thinking of playing Areola on top of him, to be honest, at this moment in time. Size, crap. Awful move. Adara Bio, I can say his name now, but now he just sits third bench. Had to come on. Then the fans protest. The only good thing about that fans protest was that moron who was on the goal who face planted on the TV straight. He fell off the net straight and face planted himself. I hope he's got a headache.
I didn't see
moron. Bloody moron. Come on. Oxygen thief. Right?
They say they're going to do it again, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. Well, don't get me wrong. I've no problems in protesting. I've no problems in peaceful protest. But there comes a time when it goes too far. You know, and I'm all for protesting about this European Super League and all these owners. So anyway, Trent, Fernandez, Salah, Shaw, blank. Maddison, another shit move, 2 points. Lingard, I brought him in eventually. And what happened?
You broke him.
I brought him in. I broke him. Vidra, wrong Burnley player. 0.1 priced out, mate, when I went for him. Kane captain. And the only bright spark was Iniacho. And as for the rest, well, there we go, 20. Not much more to say, really. Horse shit.
I think you just got unlucky with, I mean, some of these things you really can't. Kane, you know, would you, if I told you Spurs were going to win 4-0, do you think Kane's blanking? Probably not. You know, and your fixture cancellations knocks out 3 players. I think you just hit a bad week.
I mean, look, I was bringing Bale in for Bruno.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to do.
And I think if had we known, right, the fixture wasn't going ahead, we all would have done it. But it's just, you can't.
No, I might even. Do you know what? In a funny way, if I was going to go for a punt on Bale, I might even have captained him. I did consider it in the back of my mind. I thought, look, if I'm going to go all in.
Yeah.
And it just shows sometimes. I think nowadays, the way this season is, it's a funny one. It's either all or nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And it's as we get to the end of the season, right? You have to sort of the hauls, right? You want to net that haul, and the hauls that remain are so few that you really just have to go for it.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's me. So really, really bad. I'm trying to stay. I'm going to continue to rant on and off for the entire show, but I'll let you have a little go because I must admit, I think you said, "Oh, I had a shit game week. I'm not talking about it on your pod," and I thought, "Piss off! You scored 39 points. Don't give me that shit."
Okay, so I'll go through it, right? So I had Martinez. Yeah. He's never getting another clean sheet. I've accepted that. And it's really annoying because I spoke to Late Riser when I did my wildcard back in 26. And he was quite adamant that I go with Edouard Mendy. And I thought, no, why am I listening to this guy? He's only, top 200 in the world and top 30 in the world. No, I know better. I'll go Martinez.
What does he know?
Yeah. And so here's me 8 weeks later. He's definitely right. Martinez is never keeping another clean. They just look so bad. Trent, okay, you can't do anything about that. Dan Burn and Joel Veltman are my second highest scorers this week, which should tell you just how bad a week it was.
But to be fair to you, I mean, you've brought them, you've stuck them in. They still got extremely good numbers. And we might find they might come up in conversation later on in this show. And it's strange. My wife did the same. She had the two sat on the bench. She got them both coming off the bench as well. Drives me bloody crazy. You went for Son. You had Son at least. I see.
I've had Son for very long. I think I've had Son almost throughout the season. I think I missed out on Southampton and I've never sold him since then. So I brought him back the week after the Southampton haul. And I've kept him through his blanks. Probably there's times when I should have sold, but I got lucky this week. But I sold Kai Havertz this week to get Kane back in. And
God. And I've been singing your praises with that Kai Havertz punt, actually.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lesson there for me to learn because going for Havertz in the first place wasn't a bad move. But panicking too much about Kane's EO last week and thinking I need to captain Kane. Actually, looking back, it's such a bad decision because now it's handicapped me. I've lost a double game week player. I've probably got an unfit Kane, and I've also lost transfer. So that's just something about being short-sighted that going forward I got to look at, I think.
But it's like anything though. Looking at the fixtures, they're not great coming forward. They are, to be honest, for me, I do like the look of Chelsea, but I don't think I'd invest in a forward now. And I can't decide which defender I want. So I'm probably going to sell Dave. I've got a funny feeling I might even sell Dave soon, Azpilicueta, because quite frankly, I think I want Luca Dean again for the third time this season.
So we're gonna go down that path again, aren't we?
I think so. It's all going to end in tears. Right, anyway, so 39 points. Game week ranked 4,4.1 million.
Oh, if only.
3 million better than me, though. What's your overall rank, buddy?
Around 200, which is annoying because had I, not taken out Havertz, I'd be easily 150 this week and heading for 100. So I'm about 40 points off 100K, which I've had better ranks, but I think I still have a shot, so I'm going to definitely go for it.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And I mean, for me, I do you know what? I haven't looked at live FPL. I can't be asked. I really can't be bothered. But now I'm looking at my best finish ever was 50K, so I've got to get under that. I don't care if I scrape under it by one now, but I'm just gonna enjoy it. I can't get myself. I didn't really get wound up with it all. I just looked at it. I thought, you know what? Bollocks to it. Actually, that was how I actually just went out there.
You just got to laugh at it because this season's been
as always. Yeah,
just one of those.
Yeah, as always. Right. Anyway, so that's that. Thank you, mate. So now let's get on with the usual stuff. Obviously, because the Compass show wasn't on this week, we've just done a couple of team reviews for you. There is no troll, but really it's the fans who went onto the pitch. The Hall of Shame, there were plenty. I just can't remember who they are. Probably Crystal Palace, I would guess. It usually is. So we'll just look at the fixtures, and we have got Nima's predictions at least. And this time, when we look at Nima's predictions in a minute, he didn't know my result. He didn't know my predictions first. So this is quite interesting. It's the first time we've actually been completely blind from each other. But look, let's look at where we are with respect to the fixture difficulties. So now, what this does not take into account is the extra games that teams have got, and the black. All these are games that they have left to play. And the reason for that is, as with live FPL and every other blasted algorithm and things this week, the triple game week's broken me, and I haven't had time to fix it. So I've just gone with what I've got. Attacking fixture difficulty. Who's best? Liverpool. We're supposed to be ranked between 0 and 7, right? Yeah. And with 0 being the best and 7 being the worst. And Liverpool are about to break my metric. They have 0. I thought it was broken, but it isn't. It really is not. Chelsea 1.1, Man United 1.6, West Brom now 2.6, West Ham 2.8, top 5. West Brom.
What's happening here? West Brom, but it's Matheus Pereira, isn't it?
It's probably only him. And at the bottom, Sheffield United 5.7. This has been like this for weeks. Sheffield United 5.7, Palace 4.7. They're improving a bit. Wolves 4.5, Fulham 4.4, and Leeds 3.9. Rafinha-less Leeds are completely toothless.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for Palace though, and we're all thinking about Palace this week. 19th for attacking.
Nah, we'll come on to the fixtures in a minute into how the matchups look. But no, there's one or two pretty extreme. There was certainly one very extreme fixture difficulty this week. We'll come on to that in a minute. Defensively wise, Man City top 1.2, Chelsea 1.5, Brighton, and your 2 Brighton players who delivered 2, still third. Manchester City 2.7, Leicester 2.7, Arsenal 3. And then at the bottom, Crystal Palace again 6.4. Southampton 5.5, West Brom 5.2. I think once you get below 5, you're looking at hammerings, in my opinion. I genuinely think you're looking at hammerings. And I also think these teams are on the beach or relegated. And I think this is the other problem. And I think we're starting to see now that these bottom 6 or 7, they're going to probably have a go, but they might leave a load of gaps at the back. And that's my that's the sort of feeling I've got. What do you think, mate?
It's interesting, right? Because it's not just, I mean, I'm looking at that, and you've also got West Ham quite low. I think they're 15, 16?
Yeah.
And you would think that they should be better because they're chasing for top 4.
You would, but remember, this goes off the last 6 fixtures. And what has happened to West Ham's defence in the last 6 fixtures? They've had suspensions, they've had injuries.
Yeah.
Declan Rice, and they've dropped because of that. Similar how Aston Villa's attack dropped off for a long time. They've just started to figure out what to do and how to play without Grealish, I think. It's took
Barkley has sort of found something, at least in the last game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we are with respect to the fixtures for this week. That's the fixture difficulty. If we just plug these numbers into Ben Crellin's spreadsheet now and looked at it for the rest of the season, this is what it would base your numbers off. So, okay, let's look at the triple game week predictions. Triple. When was it? 2006 last time?
2006, the last time.
Holy shit, I was 36 years old when the last time that happened.
Holy shit, I'm still not 36.
46, not 36. Hey, 2006, 36. Thickhead. 36, not 46, idiot. Yeah. 2006, and I think it might have been Middlesbrough. I think someone said
it was Middlesbrough, and it didn't go very well.
No, and I'm not sure it's going to go very well this time either. But anyway, we'll come on to that in a minute. As always, we look through the fixtures, and as always, we talk about the fixture difficulties, which we've just showed you, and also we'll look at the predictions. Now, normally we would do this in the Compass show and then just cover this back off as we come through onto the matchup shows. But we've no Gabe. We haven't got Gabe's section this week, unfortunately, because some turd cut through his cable twice. So we've got a bit more time. So I think, I mean, what we'll say to the guys in the chat, if you've got questions around a specific game, as we go through them, do drop them in the chat. We'll try and answer them as we go, which means we won't do such a big Q&A at the end. We'll just try and sort of like answer questions as we go in. We've got Gabe looking, hopefully, if he's got an internet connection. And he'll hopefully help to filter them out for us. So, right, let's start. Leicester against Newcastle, mate. First up, Leicester ranked 6th in attack, 2.9 against Newcastle, 4.9, ranked 17th. That's for Newcastle defence. And Newcastle attack 3.2, 11th against Leicester, 2.7, 5th. Now, that says to me, visually, there's only one weak link, and that's Newcastle's defence.
Yeah. I mean, you have to see goals here for Leicester. And they, after losing points against Southampton, this is must win, really.
I think so. I think so. But am I right in holding Maddison for this game week, or should I get rid of him? Honest question.
I think if you've held him this long,
in the box, didn't he? Did he have something like 6 shots in the box or something?
Yeah, he looked okay against Southampton. In fact, he's the one who had the free kick the moment Vestergaard got sent off, and he came close. He still got set pieces. I think if you've had him this long, to sell him before a double, which involves Newcastle, I have Vardy, and I don't think it was a good purchase at the time, but we're in too deep. I think we just got to ride it out for one more week.
Yeah, and then flog him.
Yeah, and then flog them. For the blank, yeah. No.
So anyway, so I went for a 3-1 win in the hope that Maddison finally stops trolling me, and Iniacho also delivers, but he doesn't make any difference at my rank anyway because everyone owns him. And Nima went for a 2-1 win, and we've got Shailish on the show saying, "Hold, Chris, hold what? Beer?" Yes, I think I know what I mean. Madison, yeah. So okay, so I think it's wise. I'm just playing devil's advocate, quite honestly, mate. Spurs against Leeds. Now, this again, it's one of those games which you initially look at and you go, "Ooh, I like the look of this." Spurs attack 3.2 against Leeds 3.7 defence. That's pretty neutral.
Yeah, quite close.
Right? And Leeds 3.9 attack against Spurs 4.2 defence. Also neutral.
Both
that
teams
is not
underperforming, right?
As you would think. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a funny one, this. Spurs almost flatter to deceive. I think, are we now going to see a different Spurs come out again? Are we going to see Gareth Bale go off on another one? I've got to be honest with you, it did cross my mind even to bring him in, even with a single game week, because they're the type of players who once they go off, once they start, they can go crazy. In my opinion, he's that type of player. But look, I don't see a clean sheet here, mate. For either team.
If Calvin Phillips isn't fit, I do think you'd expect Spurs to go off here because him being out, you saw them. I think I watched Leeds play Arsenal without Calvin Phillips, and they ended up losing 4-2. So they'll get forward, like you say, and there's probably no clean sheets here, but they will concede a lot because he just sort of he's so integral to both the attack and the defense.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think Bale is the worst shout this week. If you have enough doubles, it's not a bad shout.
No, that's right. And who did they play next week?
I'm pretty sure.
Good question.
Is it Wolves? I think.
If it is, again, they're on the beach. So look, as I say, I've got size playing. It's like a walking wheelie bin.
Yeah, it's Wolves.
Oh God! I may as well. Oh God, I've got to play size next week as well. Then haven't I? Oh, for God's sake! Just before we go, I'm going to leap back. There was a question about Tielemans. What do we feel about Tielemans, mate, for Leicester? Just very quickly.
I mean, if you have him, you keep 1 week, but I wouldn't definitely be getting him in. I think he's worse FPL asset than Maddison, if I'm being honest. I just don't see where he gets attacking returns. He's on pens if Vardy doesn't play. That's about it.
Yeah.
Occasional long shot, not for me.
Okay. And another question from Nihal, actually. Thoughts about losing Son and keeping only Kane for this fixture? Son to make way for Zaha. Is Zaha fit? I did contemplate him because he, once again, he's trying to put himself onto a shopping list somewhere, I would imagine, at this time of the season.
He did play against City, and Hodgson did say he played through injury. I guess we got to wait for the presses. If Zaha's fit, I think you take the 2 games that he has, and he doesn't blank the following week. I think if you've got Kane, you're sort of mitigating some of the risk. It's the kind of move that can backfire, especially if, like we say, Phillips isn't fit for Leeds. But you've got to go with the 2 fixtures, Sheffield United and Southampton for Palace this week.
They are good fixtures.
They're good fixtures.
Yeah, and he is, I think his time's running out for him in his career, really. I don't think he's got an awful lot. He's got to get that big move at some stage, hasn't he? So, he needs to put himself in the shop window, and as in Palace just seem to be going nowhere, I'm afraid. And we come on to Palace next, and as I say, we talk about visuals and we talk about greens and we talk about reds. So here's a red fixture if ever I saw one. Palace against Sheffield United. 4.7 attack for Palace, ranked 19th against 4.9, 16th for defence for Sheffield, and Sheffield United attack ranked bottom against Palace, ranked bottom. So I mean, I keep saying it. I've gone for a 1-1 draw in homage to Mr. Binary Brewster.
He's never going to score a goal in the Premier League. Not this round. I'm pretty sure of that.
I'm going to hold you to that one. Everybody, I am waiting for the person to get that prediction wrong. I genuinely am waiting for it. I mean, God, this is... we don't need to talk about this much, do we? Apart from Zaha, where we've already covered it. Nima and I have both gone for a 1-1 draw. I think we move on. I think it's just I think it'll be awful.
I'm quite worried because I was quite confident that they're going to win, 4-5-1 here, Palace. Just looking at the way they played against, these kind of teams, right? How they played against West Brom. Mm-hmm. It's kind of troubling to see that both of you are going 1-1.
Look at the numbers. Yeah. I mean, they can't attack and they can't defend.
Yeah, that's true. It'll be hilarious if Zaha blanks and we end up with a McGoldrick Hall.
Oh God! Well, here we go. We'll get. Was it FPL Pig? Will do another song about him. Probably. I did like that one. Shilish, is Gaita a good double game week option as a goalkeeper?
Well, good for you, Shilish. If you've got a transfer to spare and a goalkeeper, you're a better man than me. But if you really have nothing else to do, I mean, it's not the worst shot because honestly, all the keepers now don't have great fixtures. The ones who do don't have doubles. So I think it's a fair shot. After this, Palace play what? Wolves, if I'm not wrong. They play Villa, hitting. Arsenal, and Liverpool.
Could be free hitting.
If he's free hitting, definitely. I think you go for it. Possibly Dean Henderson if you have a United slot.
Actually, that's a very good shout because I think Henderson is probably one of the players who may well get 3 games.
He's got a chance, especially if he doesn't start tonight.
Yeah, I've got a soft spot for Dean Henderson as well because he played for Grimsby at one stage. So yeah, yeah, he did. It's where he made his league debut actually playing for Grimsby when he was only on loan, but before he went, I don't know where he went after that. Anyway, right, crikey. Masha, Vidra to Benteke for a 1-week punt. Oh, I'd get rid of Vidra for anybody. I'd get rid of Vidra for Brewster. If I just to burn a transfer just for a laugh.
I don't think you mean that.
Mate, I went for the wrong. I mean, Vidra. Anyone who's holding Vidra now, I mean, he is another one. He does flatter to deceive. He looks like he's going to get returns and then never does.
Yeah, well, Sam on our pod has Chris Wood, and when he brought him in, I honestly didn't understand it, but it's working out. It's really annoying, and I think he'll score again this week.
He could well do. Yeah, he could well do. He could well do. So anyway, we both went for 1-1 draws there. The next one, City against Chelsea. City's attack 3.2. They've dropped, and this is the rotation effect starting to. This is clearly the rotation starting to take effect against Chelsea defence 1.5, which has stayed pretty solid in recent weeks. And Chelsea attack 1.1 against City defence 1.2. I think we treat this fixture, the fixture difficulty for City with a bit of a pinch of salt. Actually, are they gonna put a strong team out? I've got a funny feeling they might.
But there's nothing really in it for them, right? Because if they put in a strong team, now that they're playing Chelsea in the UCL final, there's all the more reason for Pep not to show his hand, not to show how they're going to approach it. He'd probably want to rotate just for the sake of it, just to, not give Tuchel any idea how they line up in the final.
True. That's an interesting point, actually. Didn't think of that. I just thought they would want to win the league against them and have some, because I do think there's always an element of wanting to get that momentum going into a final, right, as well. And I think I've seen it before when teams are going into the playoffs and they rest players before the playoffs start. They've secured themselves in the playoffs, then they rest a load of players and then they cock it up.
Yeah, but Pep is weird, right? He played Stefan in the FA Cup semi-final, and no reason to do that. It's not like as if Edison needs a rest. So I think he's the kind of guy who will rotate because he just thinks his squad is that good, and on some level they are. So
it'll be interesting to see which side he puts out. So if that's the case, it might be true, and if that's the case, my 1-0 win might not be it might be a 1-0 Chelsea win at this rate. Oh, who knows? I went for a 1-0 City win, and Nima went for a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be a cagey affair, personally. Do you agree?
I think you're looking at all Tuchel matches are cagey affairs, and I think you're looking at a 0-0 or maybe even a 1-0 to Chelsea, because Chelsea need the win, and they've got the momentum now. They've got the belief. Champions League final from where they were 6 months ago. It's amazing. I think they will want to win this.
Yeah. Thavindra Raj, best Aguero shout. Aguero? Are we going to? I mean, look, there is going to be a time when we are all in the next 3 to 4 weeks going to look at Aguero and go, "Are we going to have another?" Last year it was David Silva, wasn't it?
And it didn't work out, right? So because I do remember that.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying get David Silva for the last week, and I had De Bruyne, and De Bruyne was the one who scored 20 points. So I don't think the sentimental shout works here. I do think that there's a chance he probably doesn't play 37. He may start this week or be bench in 36. I just don't see the upside. You want as many minutes as you can get at this stage of the season. Unless you have a strong bench, it's not something I'd be going for.
Okay, fair enough. And Nehal, time to drop Chelsea defence, in my opinion. Swap them for United defence.
I'm going to disagree. I think Chelsea still are far better defence than United. I think Chelsea are the best defence, bar none. You saw what they did to Madrid. I don't think Madrid had a sniff of a chance yesterday.
But the point is, with Tuchel, I don't know what to do with his. I mean, I've Aspilicueta. I have missed how many more bloody clean sheets do I miss with that man?
Yeah, you have to have a bench, right? You're not gonna, because I've had Aspi and Rudy for almost 10 weeks now. So I've gotten good weeks and bad weeks, but I don't see the upside in jumping to other defenders who are probably not going to deliver clean sheets anyway. So unless you have no bench, I would still hold on to Chelsea, especially this week. They have a double. City and Arsenal, tough games. You would expect Tuchel. I think Rudiger and Aspi have had their rest. I would expect them to get games.
They had a tough double in 26 and kept 2 clean sheets.
Yes, against United and it might have been Liverpool, I think.
I think it was, and I remember looking at that and saying, I'm not going to have a Chelsea defender for that, because of that reason, and they kept 2 clean sheets. I remember thinking about that at the time. Okay, and now here we go. Now here's an interesting one: Liverpool against Southampton. Liverpool rank first with breaking my fixture difficulty at 0. And Southampton 19th at 5.5 defence. And Southampton, this is the biggest one I've seen so far. Southampton 3.1 attack against Liverpool 3.8 defence. And to be honest with you, the way my metrics work, that's why my metric doesn't like players like Trent Alexander-Arnold at the moment. And I know we don't buy Trent for his clean sheets before anybody starts slagging me off in the chat. but it doesn't like him. And probably rightly so, looking at that. Their fixture, their defensive matchups are not great. But my goodness, are their attacking matchups good going forwards? And we'll come on to those in a few minutes. It's crazy. I mean, look, I've gone 5-1. I can't see that. I think Southampton might score. Neiman went 2-0 and nearly fell off his chair when he saw me say when he saw what I said with 5-1. Can you? I'm going to go on. I'm going to say this. I said it the other week. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it now. I think Liverpool will put 5 past 2 teams between now and the end of the season.
It's a big shout because we've been waiting for them to do that the whole season, right? I remember the last time they played Southampton, and I definitely went in with triple Liverpool assets. I went in with Mane and Salah, and they lost 1-0. And so it's just been one of those seasons where they just haven't kicked off yet. I think it's a bold shout, but you're seeing something in the stats that I'm not seeing.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Liverpool have been teetering around the 2s, 2.5s, 1.5s on the fixture difficulty now for weeks and weeks and weeks. And in the early part of the season, they were at 4, 3, 4. So I'm telling you now, they are creating more now than they have created at any time during the season, in my opinion. That's where I am with it. And I think it's just now a matter of time before one of them goes crazy. Or more.
It's interesting because I've seen a lot of pods this week debate whether a Salah captaincy is valid because the fixture, while they have one less, it's a better fixture than United's fixtures. Yeah. This does give you some idea that maybe it
does. I mean, when we come to the captain metric, and this is where the captain metric differs from this fixture difficulty, because the metric looks over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it calculates. So it doesn't quite have the fixture as good in the metric, to be honest with you. But on the short-term numbers, Liverpool are really, really now in favour. And as I say, when we move to the fixture difficulty in a few minutes, it is just green. It is literally green. Okay, so anyway, I went for 5-1. Nima went for 2-0. Let's keep going. Wolves against Brighton. We'll try and whiz through these. Wolves, 4.5 attack. Brighton, 2 defence. Big positive for Brighton still. So don't despair, I think, is maybe where I'm coming from. I'd even consider playing them. Brighton 3.5 against Wolves 3.6 attack against defence. So I just think Brighton are. They look. I think they look really good. I really like the look of them. I think they're very well organised at the back. Very well organised. Wolves are clearly beached, in my opinion.
Definitely.
I can't see Wolves scoring. So I've gone for a 1-0 Brighton win, and I think Brighton will finally get over the line.
I think that's a fair shout. I think that's a fair shout. The only thing with Brighton is they've had good numbers the whole season, right? I think they've had the 3rd lowest XGC since the start of the season, and they've always sort of flattered to deceive.
Yeah,
and you did see them.
Now they've at least started to get these 1 or 2 clean sheets now. They started, didn't they? And I mean, we all looked at who was it? I think it was FPL Swang, who was going crazy in the chat. Every time he brought one in, they would concede a goal. And of course, I mean, if you've got that, his ears just come in actually, just as I was mentioning that. And at the end of the day, they are at least keeping some clean sheets. And by goodness, I bet you were pleased they did last week. So anyway, so I've just gone for 1-0, and Nima's gone for a 1-1. Villa against Man United. Okay, Villa's attack, no great shakes, 3.4. Manchester United defence, 2.7. Neutral to slightly positive for Man U. Manchester United, 1.6 attack against Villa, 4.3 defence. Again, right, we're starting to get to a point where our Villa, have Villa shot their bolt now? I think Manchester United will have too much for them this week. That's my personal view. And I've gone for a 2-0 win, and Nima went for 3-1 for United. Any views on any assets from Villa, mate, or are you cooled entirely on Villa now?
The issue with them is the fixtures, right? Because it gets harder after this, I think. So if you've had Ollie Watkins, and if you have him this week, I think you definitely keep, because he's guaranteed minutes. He plays 90 every game. I think there's a stat somewhere that he's played the most minutes of any outfield player, I think, in the Football League over the last 2 seasons, if I'm not wrong. So if you have him, keep him. But I wouldn't be investing in any extra Villa assets right now.
No, me neither. Me neither. Oh, I did look at El Ghazi at 5-point-something million. I did that. That was one player I did look at. To be honest,
on pens, right? If when Grealish is out, it's just one of those things, right? You never know he's going to get rotated. I actually like El Ghazi. It's just now that we have this United double or triple that's come in, Villa assets probably are not your priority this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. The next question is: are West Ham assets our priority now? West Ham attack still pretty favourable, 2.8 against Everton defence 4. Everton attack 3.2 against West Ham 4.4. So 2 pretty average defences now. Yeah. But equally, I think this might be the game for the attacking fullback.
It could well be. Kufal's been posting really good numbers, right? He's finally got an assist after we all sold him to get Cresswell.
Yeah, I owned him as well for a while. Yeah, got nothing out of him, flogged him, and then immediately starts returning. Yeah, that's the story of my season, or it has been just recently. And Luca Dean, I think, given that looks like Calvert-Lewin seems to be coming back to a bit of form, and looks, I think, quite a tasty option if you can get to him for this double game week. Dean might not be a bad shout, actually. I quite like the look of him. I'm not sure they'll keep a clean sheet. I'm not sure.
That's the issue with Everton, right? Because it's a tough double. Yeah, so I don't see many clean sheets from them. And the issue with Dean is when Sigurdsson and James play, then they start taking set pieces off him. So that's one issue you have to face. It sort of negates his... he's not exactly... Now that we have United as to target as well, I'm not sure if I'll bring Dean in this week, but he's got fixtures. And if you're looking at Everton defenders, I wouldn't go for Keane or Mina or Godfrey of any of the rest.
No, I agree with you. No, I definitely agree with you there. But Nima and I both went for a 2-2 draw there. Interestingly enough.
Interesting. I don't think West Ham are going to win that one, if I'm being
honest.
Well,
there's Antonio, right? Antonio's back now.
He looked immense last week.
Well, yeah. And, of course, Lingard is... I know I broke him, but, still hopeful, right? I've got to.
I see so many people selling Lingard this week, and I cannot understand. It's 2 blanks in a row, and everyone's losing their mind. He's going to return. I guarantee you, the fixture run he has, he's chasing an England spot. People are still questioning him. I definitely see Lingard returning. If not this week, then next.
I actually said that I was just a bit surprised that Lingard didn't actually top the metric in last week. I thought he might do. I just had that funny feeling that his form was so good, but it just looked like the loss of Antonio just tempered them a little bit. And I think maybe now they're getting back to it. As I said, they'll maybe get back to it again. I'll tell you who else I just noticed when it's gone completely off the boil, and I'm going to mention him. It's Souček. What's happened to him?
The arrival of Lingard has just really pushed him back, right? He's no longer needed as the attacking outlet.
He's literally, and probably with no Rice as well. Like he's probably even further back, maybe.
Yeah, because it's him and Mark Noble, right? So you need Souček to protect that defense.
You're going to need to. Yeah, you are right. Yeah, let's face it. Okay, here's one for Nima. Arsenal against West Brom. So Arsenal 3.5 attack, not great against West Brom 5.2, pretty poor. West Brom attack 2.6 against Arsenal 3. West Brom above Arsenal with respect to a positive matchup for
these numbers are quite clearly biased numbers here because Arsenal are going to crush West Brom.
Do you think?
I think so. It's not the fanboy in me talking. I genuinely think we will.
I just think they're going to concede. I don't think they'll win. I think they'll win, but I think West Brom will score. I think West Brom are just going to go. Do you know what? Bollocks to it. We're just going to go for it. But that might.
Arsenal always have a goal in them. They always can concede a goal. I don't think
David Lewis back, right? David
Lewis is going to be out, I believe.
Is he out again? Because I thought he was coming back.
I think he picked up a suspected hamstring in the last one.
Right, all right, fair enough. Well, as I say, I've not been watching. I've been too busy at work to even look. But right, okay. So if that's the case, well, maybe they might keep a clean sheet. Question from Abhilash: do you think Holding plays, mate?
He probably plays, but I don't think that's good news, is it? Because they play West Brom and then they play Chelsea. If you have, you hold. But I didn't invest in Holding in this run, and I was quite sure they weren't going to keep that many cleans. It's Arsenal, and they always concede stupid goals. If you have him, you hold. It's not a priority to remove this week. I think if you're on a free hit, though, I would consider at least one Arsenal attacker.
Okay.
Because no one else is going to do it.
what about Saka? He seems to have just been rotated a little bit. Is he not nailed now?
We've got a lot of those kind of players in that position,
Yeah.
right? We've got Saka, we've got Pepe, we've got people like Emil Smith Rowe.
Yeah.
I think if you're going for an Arsenal attacker, look at the UAL lineup, what they play tonight, and go off that. I would like to target Oba. I think you should, if you're on a free hit, that's the kind of differential. No one else is going to bring him in because they blank next week. Yeah. High upside, premium asset. I would go for that.
Fair call. And Laka might be back according to Masha. He's training with Tierney. Okay, right. Next one. Fulham against Burnley. It's another game which I might not watch. Is it on in the middle of the night? You watch. It's going to be the early game in Asia, isn't it? I've not looked, by the way. But
nobody in Asia is watching this match, mate.
What's been happening just recently is every game that I've wanted to watch has kicked off at 4 a.m. Every game. It really pees me off. But anyway, whoops. Fulham, 4.4 attack against Burnley, 4.8. Burnley attack 3.2 against Fulham defense 3.9. Right. What's going to happen here? I think it's going to be Barcelona are going to turn up again. I do fancy Chris Wood to score. I agree. I think Fulham will get a couple. I think it's going to be blood and guts 3-2. And Nima's gone for a 0-0 draw. So we couldn't be any further apart than we this just shows how we, every now and again we agree, but sometimes we diverge. My thought process here, I think Burnley will attack and leave gaps. And I think Fulham will also attack and leave gaps. And I think that's what I just see. Fulham have just got nothing to lose. And I think Burnley are going, do you know what? Sod it. Let's just have some fun.
I think Burnley win this convincingly. And I don't see... I get where you're coming from, right? Because Burnley attacking now, they kind of want to push forward. Both sides have nothing to lose. It's sort of... Burnley are going to stay where they are and Fulham are going down. But Fulham's attack has been so insipid. It's so uninspiring. They struggle for goals at the best of times this season. I don't see where you're going to get 2 goals out of Fulham. They will need a penalty.
Only because Burnley's defence is bad. That's all. That's the only reason I've gone for 2 goals. And I think it's just going to be like, they're just going to go for it. And that's what I mean. Not that we'd bring a player in, but I do think if you've got a Burnley asset, I'm going to probably hold Vidra. He may sit on my bench. He probably will, because with my double game weekers and things like that. But that said, Wood's definitely a very, very good option this week.
Wood's definitely scoring again.
Yeah, absolutely right. Okay. Moving on, Southampton Palace. As we said, we already know how bad Southampton are, but it's a better matchup against Crystal Palace. So Southampton, as we said, 3.1 against Palace, 6.4. So Southampton attack now starting to show some possible hope. And Crystal Palace 4.7 attack against Southampton 5.5. Are we going to have a James Ward-Prowse masterclass? Is Shea Adams going to turn up and score? Or is Danny Ings going to be back? There's a rumour he might be back.
Shea Adams has been a real troll, because I'm sure most of us, I had him for a long spell at the start where he wasn't doing anything. And then he started scoring and he's turned into Messi the moment I sold him.
Yeah. I quite like Ward-Prowse. I quite like the idea of Ward-Prowse, actually. I've got a funny thing. I don't know why, but I was scanning that sort of like 6 to 7 million sort of bracket, and there's not a lot in there.
No, there isn't. The issue with Ward-Prowse is you can't predict his returns because it's all free kicks and penalties. How do you even... I mean, I don't think your metric... How does a metric predict that? Because the fixture difficulty here doesn't really help Ward-Prowse. He just scores free kicks. He's excellent at them. And in his price bracket, I guess there's no other option, but it's just hard to predict a haul for him.
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it is that, teams who win a lot of penalties have tricky players, don't they? People who win a lot of free kicks around the box have tricky players. Have they got tricky players? Not really. What are Palace going to do here? Are they going to shut up shop? It's hard to say. I've gone for goals. I could have easily gone for a low scorer, but I just have a funny feeling that Southampton might again just go. Palace aren't that bothered. Pretty poor at the moment, Palace, quite frankly, defensively. In fact, very poor. And I think I'm pretty certain that they play Liverpool, don't they?
Yeah, but it's quite scary, right? Because I'm looking at your predictions for both the Palace games, and it doesn't look very good for them. It probably suggests that you're not looking at any of the assets for this week.
No, well, not really. I mean, look, Zaha, I might go for him just as a pure, but I would say he would sit in a pure punt level for me on the basis of the fact that he's putting himself in the shop window, and we all know what Zaha can do on his day. He's destructive, right?
Yeah.
Eze is the 0xg 0xa hero of the Hall of Shame. He's had more entries in the Hall of Shame than anybody else this season by a distance. So goodness knows, he might prove me wrong. But no, I just think 3-1 Southampton. I think Nima's gone for a 1-1 draw. Right, now we're getting to the business end of the fixtures. Man United against Leicester. Second game for Man United. This is two pretty decent attacks. 1.6 for Man United against 2.7 defence for Leicester. And Leicester 2.9 attack against Man United 2.7 defence. And before the cat knocks my drink over, throw it away. I think this has the makings of quite a cagey game. What's your view on this?
To be fair, all United games against this sort of opposition, right, top six, tends to be cagey. Although in the return fixture, I think it was 2-2, right? So cagey, yes, but Leicester need points. They've dropped points. Maybe you'll see 1 or 2 goals here, but I don't think it'll be. You've predicted, I mean, looking here, 1-1 and 2-2, and I think that's about right, somewhere in between there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just starting to think about the fact that they've already had a game. Now, are we starting to see a bit of rotation, or are we going to see a weaker team in the Villa game and then a stronger team? It's very much going to be dependent on the fixture, on who plays tonight again, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's going to be a tired team either way.
Yeah, no, it is. It's going to be a tired team. That's right, and that's why I think. And I've gone for 1-1. I've got to stick with it now, because once we put them down on paper, we don't change them. But yeah, maybe Nima's got a better chance of getting that right than me. I'm not quite sure. Right, okay, back to you again, mate. Chelsea against Arsenal. Well, Nima and I have disagreed. I went for a 2-0 Chelsea win, and Nima went for a 1-0 Arsenal win. But look at the matchups again, and again, just look at the colours. There's only one reddish number, and that's Arsenal's attack, 3.5 against Chelsea's 1.5 defence. +2 for a defence does suggest a possible clean sheet, in my opinion.
I think Chelsea keep a clean sheet here. Sadly, I can't see Arsenal scoring against them. Not in the form that Chelsea are in at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm thinking 2-0. I just think it might be 1-0, but I think that Chelsea will turn them over. And Nima went for 1-0 to Arsenal, probably heart over head again. Perhaps, I don't know. We've been saying that a while. With it.
True Arsenal fans would probably predict a loss. We're far more pessimistic than
that. Villa against Everton. Right, as we said, Villa's attack, no great shakes. Everton defence, definitely no great shakes. Everton attack, no great shakes. Against Villa's defence, no great shakes. Basically 3.4 against 4 and 3.2 against 4.3. Goals.
DCL time, right?
That's what we're all thinking. So. Yeah, I think so. I think DCL time. Again, I doubt there'll be a clean sheet, even though I'm just talking myself out of bringing Dean in and all the time, aren't I, through this show. And Nima has gone for a clean sheet for Everton. He does think they'll keep a clean sheet. I just think Watkins has actually, I mean, he ever since he was castigated in Twitter, he's really turned the corner, hasn't he? I think just to piss people off, just to say, here's one for you. He's had 6 returns. I think it's 6 in 6. He's had 6 returns in 6, something like that. And quite frankly, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to call him the Carpenter much longer.
No, I don't think you can. He's actually looked really good recently, which you have to give credit to Watkins, because he's feeding off bits, right? No Grealish, but he's somehow finding a way to return. And he's chasing all these players, right? He's chasing an England spot as well.
Yeah.
And I definitely think he's motivated.
To be fair to him, he's doing okay. Now, as I say, that's why I think Villa might get one. But I don't think they'll win.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I think that's the way I'd go with that. And then finishing off, the last one, a completely and utterly knackered Manchester United by this stage. Right? Completely knackered. Playing the best attack in the league by numbers at this moment in time. And as I say, I'm convinced they're going to go off on one soon. But Manchester United's attack's still pretty strong as well, at 1.6 against Liverpool 3.8. So that's a big positive. So, you know, again, if DCL is going to get returns in the if TAA is going to get returns in these fixtures, they're going to be attacking ones, in my opinion. I see goals in this. I see 3-2. I see a real humdinger of a match, actually. And Nima's gone the same way, but we've both tipped Liverpool just to have that a little bit more.
You would hope so, right? Because United coming in off the back of 4 fixtures in 10 days or 12 days, something stupid like that. So you'd have to think Liverpool have to go in with this and they have to win it. And to be fair, while I did say United always, go for low scoring draws, in the FA Cup match where they played this season, it was 3-2 to United. So you could see goals.
Yeah. So the interesting thing, we'll come on to the Manchester United are going to feature pretty heavily in the captain metric because of the fact that they've played more. They've got 3 fixtures, although how many games they really play these players is quite another question entirely. But that's that section. So it's took a little while to go through that, but I think I don't know about you, Siva, but I actually find it. I mean, you probably look at it and go, I'm not sure about it. But this is statistical based. Then what you've then got to do is you've then got to start, and this is what I'll say to everybody who's watching this tonight and listening to it, is then you've got to put the eye test on it, and you've got to put the news on it, and the rotation, everything else, and then decide which asset is the best asset for you. That's the way I would look at it. This is nothing more than stats, and that's what we do on that.
Yeah, I think that's a very good approach because it's not a complete devotion here. You're not ignoring. So like you say, you may take a punt on Zaha. You're fully aware that the numbers are bad and it's probably not something you can justify just based on stats, but it's a Hail Mary kind of punt and you just go for it in the hope of it. And you're looking at the fixtures based on that. Yeah.
Just to let you know on the overall, for the watchers of the Compass show, which obviously wasn't on this week, it's now 4-2 to me with respect to predictions. You get 3 points for a win or for a correct score and result, and 1 point for a correct result. I think it was 9. I think it was either 9-8 or 9-7 to 9-8 or 8-7 to Nima last week. We've predicted about, I think, 5 or 6 correct results in the last in the last 3 weeks. So we are starting, and the idea is we're starting to learn this now. Do you see what I mean? So it might, I don't know, is there something in it? It'll be very interesting to see how this does, because we'll keep this going next season as well. So we'll see how
keep track,
yeah, we'll see how it goes. It may be that all the pundits for Net That Hall will actually be asked for predictions next year.
Pressure.
Might be interesting. We'll see. I have to someone to bloody collate it. That's the problem. Right. Fixture difficulty. So this now is what we're faced with. And of course, my wife said to me this morning, "Why are you up so early?" I went, "Bloody FPL have changed the fixtures again." In our WhatsApp group, there was a question. Wait till Mariner sees this. He's going to be so pissed off because he's just done all the fixtures. Yes. I looked at this one. I was like, for crying out loud, I've got to do it all over again. So anyway, so I have. So we've got 35 double, 35 treble in there. First 3 lines there. And then we've got 36, 37, 38. And again, what I've done with this, strip out the fact that some teams are playing more games than others. It's just the fixture difficulty is just purely and simply based on the games that they're playing. I couldn't do it any other way. I didn't have time. But let's look at a couple of fixtures, right? Let's look at Liverpool. So let's home in on Liverpool here. And you might be able to see my mouse on the screen. They play Southampton, 5.5 positive. Right? That's for defense. That's for attack. They play Manchester United, 2.8 positive. They play in 36. They play West Brom, 5.3 positive. They play Burnley in 37, 4.9 positive. And they play Palace in 38, 6.5 positive. Now, if there ever was an 8-0 or, I mean, look, could they score 15 goals against Palace this season?
It would be really nice if they did, it'd be nice if they showed up and actually did that.
I mean, look, that screams double Liverpool attack to me. It screams it, and probably a TAA. Bear in mind that their average fixtures for average there is 2.1. So that's an attack and defense. So if you're looking at an attacking defender, then you're really looking at that. So it's still very positive. So, or nice and positive. So if you could nail which three are going to start, I would go 3 attackers, but I couldn't nail them.
No, I think there's upside in someone like Trent who has returns at both ends of the pitch, because they can't keep conceding these kind of goals, right? They're going to start getting cleans at some point. And I think what this says is keep Jota. A lot of people are selling Jota this week, and I've thought about it as well. But you look at these fixtures.
I'm contemplating bringing him in.
Yeah.
I'm contemplating bringing him in.
Yeah, good fixtures. You'd expect even off the bench, he's probably going to return in some of these.
No, I'm seriously thinking about bringing him in for Rafinha, who's crocked.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it's a double game week, and then the good fixtures at the end, and hopefully by then I'll have a few other players to sit on the bench just in case Jota only, or hopefully he plays, but if not, we'll have to see. What about Robertson? I've heard him being talked up. In fact, Late Riser talked him up. I saw that earlier on Twitter. Andy Robertson is the forgotten man.
Yeah, we've also. I sold him, I think, back in game week 19, right? And haven't looked back. But I guess if you want somebody who's nailed and you're not comfortable with the rotation of Jota, Robertson will start every game. So you have that kind of safety.
Yeah, that is the one thing which was mentioned, and I do tend to agree. The only problem is again, and I know, as I've just said, and I'm probably going against what I said a few minutes ago, you've got to treat these numbers with a pinch of salt to a certain extent, but I can't ignore these. They're too green.
Yeah. I mean,
knowing this fixture difficulty as I know it, this tells me they could go bonkers.
They could. If you have the cash to move Robertson, I think it would be a struggle for a lot of us to try and put 2 7 mil defenders in. But if you can do it, might be worth a shot.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I might go Bruno to Mane in 37.
Interesting. Would you want to sell, because Bruno plays Fulham that week, right? Or is it
37?
37. Okay.
Yes, it is. Is it 37? Yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
That is tough.
I've been looking at this Bruno Mane move for a while, right?
Yeah, it's a good thing you haven't done it yet. I mean, this
is what would have happened if I'd done it. I wouldn't be on this pod tonight because the computer would have been smashed out the window. For sure, 100%. Oh my God. Right, let's keep going. Manchester United average 2.1. Luke Shaw. I've heard people talking about selling Luke Shaw as well. I'm holding until the end of the season.
No, you're definitely not selling Luke Shaw.
I'm not selling Luke Shaw. No, don't worry. I'm not selling Luke Shaw. I know you wouldn't let me sell Luke Shaw, mate, but I'm not selling.
He's Trent, but cheap. That's basically it.
Cheap Trent. Yeah. He's Trent. The cheap version. Right. Man City attack. Rotation has pulled them back, but could this change? Have we got a last hurrah on Man City attack between now and the end of the season? And if so, who?
For me, it's got to be Mahrez, right? He's the form asset. And if you can nail the hauls, it's worth a shout. Like I said, I'm not really keen on Aguero. I think Mahrez, especially if he gets rested this week, you get him next week against Newcastle. That looks a really good fixture for him. Everything he touches is just going in.
I tell you what, I really like. I thought he's caught my eye, and I watched a bit of the UCL semi. I thought Foden looked. He looks so good. He's so young, and that's what I think. This is what I think everybody forgets about Greenwood and Foden. They're just kids.
Yeah, 20 years old.
They're just kids. But I thought that, I'm scouring this wasteland of 6 to 7 million midfielders, and I did contemplate Gundogan again, and I did contemplate Foden again, and I just don't know, and I think it's just too much. I've already been burnt so many times by Man City rotation just recently, but we'll have to see. I mean, when is the Champions League final?
3 days after their final fixture, if I'm not wrong. So you're going to look at game week 38 probably being a blank for whichever asset you bring in.
Yeah. Be interesting to see. I still think City, they play Newcastle, Brighton, Everton.
There's some holes there. If you can manage the benchings, right? That's why I would consider Mahrez. If you have that transfer, he's basically the anti-Sterling, right? He actually holds the
fixtures. I wouldn't pick Uncle Sterling. Never mind anti-Sterling. No chance. No, thank you. And Manchester City defence, if you can nail the right one, are still favourable as well. So, again, as are Brighton, as are Chelsea, if you're talking about defence.
So, Diaz, right? If you've got Diaz, I think, just park him on the bench and play him. Whenever he starts, they're not going to come on. So that's a good thing.
No, that's right. Okay. Right, let's keep going, and then we'll move on to the captaincy. So just for the run-in, and again, just to run through, this is basically taking all those fixtures and then just putting them into a rank. Okay? So who are you looking for? So attack, Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea, Southampton, interestingly, have relatively decent fixtures. If you look at all those fixtures which are remaining, Southampton are fourth. So maybe James Ward-Prowse isn't a bad shout. Maybe Ings, when he comes back, if he's fit, maybe isn't a bad shout. I'm not going to say Shea Adams, forget him. And at the bottom, Wolves, Sheffield United, Brighton, Palace, Man City. Look, their fixtures. Where were they playing? Why are they so bad? What's going on with this thing? I'll have to check that out. That might be wrong. It can't be. I'll check out. If it's wrong, I'll post it on Twitter. But it shouldn't be wrong because it's automatic. Defence. Chelsea, Man City, Brighton, Man United, Arsenal. Okay. Best five. And at the bottom, Palace, Southampton, West Brom, Villa, Burnley. Of course, if people want to come to the YouTube channel, you'll be able to freeze it and have a look at this. I appreciate if you listen to it, it's difficult. And again, when we're talking about players who perhaps looking for an attacking return and defensive returns, you are not really looking far past Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Brighton, and possibly Everton. So there we go. So there's Trent, there's Robbo. If you could get the right Chelsea asset, good luck to you. Manchester United, there's your Luke Shaw and perhaps your Wan-Bissaka for this week, because he could be quite nailed for this week, possibly. Manchester City, dare you gamble on a Cancelo move again? I don't know. Possibly not. Brighton, Everton, Dean. So there we go. So yeah, so that's that fixture. So right, okay. What we're going to do now, and don't shoot me for this, guys, when you watch this, is I've been messing around with an algorithm now for a few weeks. Now it started off really well. It got 99 points the first week. Then it got 40 points. And last week it got 49. Now I would give my house for 49 points last week.
Right? That's a massive haul last week.
49. It got 49 bloody points.
Does the algorithm predict fixture postponements?
How can I? Hang on a minute. Can I get rid of you? Can I cut you off? I'll finish the show myself. Don't start me off again. I've just forgotten about that. No, with all seriousness, mate, what it's been doing and the way it works, I'm going to put it on the screen now for everybody to look at. what it does is it looks at, and I'll talk people through it. It looks at the expected involvement, goal involvement in the last 6 game weeks. It looks at the expected clean sheets in the last 6 game weeks. It looks at expected points in the last 6 game weeks. Expected, not actual. Again, statistics, right?
Yeah.
That's what we've got to do. Then it looks at fixture difficulty. So it pulls the fixture difficulty in for the game or for the games, because here we've got average, we've got 2s and 3s. We've got averages of 2 and averages of 3 games and all sorts going on here this week. I've had to literally unpick the spreadsheet and then save it as a different version so I don't lose it all for next week. And then it comes up with its form, its fixture, and then it comes up with a number. And it's pretty similar to the captain metric in a sense, but the captain metric takes into account the number of double returns and number of singles. So it actually looks at actual returns. So that's where the metric deviates from this, and it looks further back. It looks at 12 matches. It looks 12 game reps back to 6. It then looks at a rotation, and it says, right, okay, I can have one player, and this is my rule I've made, I can have one player over 30% rotation. That's it, just one. The rest have to be under 30%. And then, obviously, you've got the double game with the same multiplier in for the double game week. And again, don't shoot the messenger. At the moment, I've put the Manchester United players down as 2, not 3.
I think that's fair.
And I've put people like Salah at 1.75, and I've put Mane and Jota at 1.5, because I don't think they'll play as much as Salah, quite frankly. And you'll see anyway. So it's all on the screen. So, right, okay, so how does it work? So what we do then is we order them, and we look down and we say, right, okay, the person at the top of the metric becomes the captain. So that is Mason Greenwood this week, with an algorithm number of 100. And he is a distance ahead of Salah, who sits in second at 96, and Mane, who sits third at 90. So there we go. So the this algo is going really hard on Liverpool attack, as you would probably think it would do on the basis of the earlier stuff which we've seen, right?
Yeah.
Because it's also thrown in Jota and Pogba. So it's literally and. So that's that across the midfield. So we just have a sea of red. Now, I know what people are going to say. Mane and Jota, I'm not probably going to own both because maybe one will only play and the other won't. Right? Yeah, okay, fair enough. But I've got the bench. This thing is just going to do what it does. I'm not going to cheat it. It's literally going to throw out the numbers, and we're going to fit it around the team to find the right formation, depending on the order, picks the formation. The goalkeeper is a choice, to be fair, because the goalkeeper, it was a draw this week at 74. So I actually went with Mendy over Sanchez because it's a double game week, and I think that's a fair call, right?
Definitely.
But Sanchez 74. So keeping going down, up front, Cavani and Iniacho. Cavani.
Yeah, you don't see that mentioned a lot, I think, this week.
No, Cavani and Iniacho. Now, interesting, and this is where it gets really, really interested. No, we don't want another protest before the United-Liverpool match, Jamie. No. I'm just reading the comments and just throwing me off. Can we mute him? So we've already said Mendy, right? I'm not quite sure how it works its defence out. I'm still struggling with this because it didn't pick Trent because the other 3 Liverpool players were above him. So we can't. Trent's actually, he was the highest defender, but he was below the other 3 Liverpool attackers. So I could only pick 3.
That's fair.
So he's not there. So anyway, Evans, Zuma, Dunk. Strange selections. On the bench, Castagne and Veltman.
Evans probably not so strange, right? He's been scoring and assisting.
Zuma's a funny one. I don't quite know why Zuma he just keeps appearing. 20% rotation, expected points 6.23, decent-ish fixture. He's there for a reason.
when he plays, he's such an attacking threat because his headers are amazing, right?
If he doesn't play, fair enough. If he doesn't play, fair enough, right? But then that means we've got Castagna or Veltman coming in.
Excellent subs, Castagna especially.
Yeah, and up front we've got the Carpenter coming on off the bench if needed. And obviously we would have, because it's a 3-5-2, we would have either Castagna coming on for a defender, or we would have Watkins coming on for an attacker.
I'm very curious to see that you have Greenwood, Pogba, Cavani, and that means I assume Bruno is behind all of them, which I don't think a lot of people would have expected.
No, he is. He's below them all, and he's quite a way below actually. His numbers are not that well. We should know his numbers aren't great. He blanked the other bloody week, didn't he?
Yeah, but people keep telling me his underlying numbers are great, and
not according to this. But this is expected points, right? Expected points. Now, why is Bruno's expected points perhaps down? He's not on free kicks. He's not on dead balls like he was.
Yeah, Shaw and Rashford are sharing it.
It's an interesting thing. Let's see how it does. So, I mean, look, I'm delighted to get some feedback on this. And of course, look, I'm not saying that this is your free hit team. Far from it, right? But what I'm saying is these are the players that I expect will do well this week.
I think fair shout. And the fact that you have Greenwood top of it, it gives a lot of encouragement to people who want to be a bit different this week. You know, don't just want to, hold the rank and actually want to go for it.
I think that Greenwood, we'll come on to the captain metric in a minute. I think Greenwood's a very, very good shout for a captain this week. Very good shout. I just think he'll play. I think he's young. I think he's fit. I think he'll play. Yeah. I don't think he'll play
off the bench.
He might get to, I reckon Greenwood, I'm going to stick my neck out, 2.25.
Fair, given Dan James is out. So, I mean, that does help Greenwood quite a bit. One less rotation option to consider. And even off the bench, you saw what he did against Roma, right? Comes on, scores immediately.
Yeah, I think 2.25 games for Greenwood. How many minutes do we think Greenwood would get? 2.25 games. That's my honest perspective. But of course, we don't know what's happening with respect to tonight's
lineup. I mean, so much depends on tonight's lineup.
But if we see what happens tonight, if they're rested, he's a really good shout, because I do think perhaps that Villa game is the chance for the Hall. Oddly enough.
Agreed. Yeah.
So you've got to look at that, and I think that's how you look at the overall game week. The longer we get into this game week, they're going to be knackered, right? And that's where you're going to see some really strange stuff, and that's why we went with that 3-2, because I think there's all sorts of things could happen there. Jamie's gone for 90, 90, and 20 for Greenwood.
90, 90, 20. That seems about fair. I think, and you'd probably take that, right, as a Greenwood owner?
I think I would, yeah. Absolutely, I would. I don't even own him, but I still might bring him in for Rafinha, instead of Jota, and then move him on and then move him on later. That might be maybe my way to get Mane in.
Yeah. Looking at this, I'm half tempted to just skip Bruno entirely and get Greenwood.
I don't think it's stupid. I don't think it's as stupid as it sounds.
Yeah. I mean, as long as he doesn't get pens, this seems like a fair shot. I can justify it with numbers.
Yeah. I mean, look, the numbers are there. These are the numbers we've taken are from Fantasy Football Hub. So these are the numbers extracted out of Fantasy Football Hub, and these are actual numbers for the last 6 game weeks. And then all I've done is I've just jumbled it up, and I'm basically taking, for a midfielder, there's a small amount of clean sheet in there as well. A small amount, right? So you only get 1 point, right? For a clean sheet. So there's a small amount of clean sheet. And obviously, the way it's worked, I've put 3 different formulas in. Let's see how it goes. So all we can do is see how it goes. But anyway, that's what this is next year. This is what we will see next year on Net That Hole, because this is replacing Souček Watch. And it may be that Gabe and I, the original plan was to perhaps try and do something around the algorithm with his matchups. Then, of course, some moron cut through his cable twice. I'll have to look back, Jamie. I'll have to look back, mate. I'll come back to you on that. But no. it's an interesting perspective. I like the idea of it. I don't think this would replace the captain metric because the captain metric's done so well. I would be nervous to change it too much. The only thing we might do with the net captain metric next year is we might reduce the number of fixtures it looks at. That's all. Instead of 12, it might look at 9 or something like that, number of fixtures. So we'll see. So that's that. So let's see how it does, mate. Hey?
Yeah, it's got to do better than the official FPL's Scout 11. I would think.
Who knows? Oh, by the way, it was 102.6, so it's actually affordable. And that's the other point I was going to make. Actually, I will not. I have to obviously drop out premium players. If all the premium players sit at the top, the bottom premium player falls off. He has to because we can't afford it otherwise, can we?
Yeah, otherwise it's of no use to anyone anyway.
Yeah, it's no bloody use anyway. That's right. Correct. Yeah. Absolutely correct. So that's where we are. Okay, right. Let's move. And we're going on to the captaincy stuff now. So, how did we do last week? Community poll. We all got it wrong. The whole world got it wrong, didn't they? The metric. I stuck my neck out with Jesus. He did score, but it was offside. It was a good finish actually as well. It was a very good finish, and I was thinking, well. But to be honest, I had a dinner party on Saturday night, and I had my phone on, I had the sofa score on with the alerts for the goals, and I was like, oh no, there's nothing. I was like, have I got it on silent? Have I got it on silent? No, I didn't have it on silent. I was pissed off. The cat got it right though, so if you followed the cat, you were okay, Idiacho. And despite Gabe, and if you're listening, is he still there? Is he still in the chat? Are you here? Gareth bloody Bale. Differential. The golfer.
Amazing, right? In a week where Kane blanks.
With that.
But he played really well, right? He took his chances so well.
Mate, he's a class player. At the end of the day, he's a class player. He's just, clearly, if he's going to play, he's maybe got a point. I don't know, he's got a point to prove or whatever. Who knows?
I think he does. I mean, Gabe and I did speak about it before the match, right? When you listen to his interviews, he doesn't like the fact that he knows, what we talk about him. He knows that people think he's just there for a paycheck. Well, I think he does want to prove them wrong.
I mean, look, Ollie Watkins gets slagged off and then goes on a 6-game winning streak. I've started waving a golf club around and Gareth Bale goes and scores. Goes and gets all these points. I've shamed a number of players into scoring goals this season.
Can you shame a few more?
Who do you want me to shame this week?
Can you please shame Jamie Vardy into doing something?
Oh, Jamie Vardy.
Yes.
Vardy. He's got Mr. Bandy legs with his kneecaps flying off in all right angles. I used to have a mate who's the bad knees. He reminds me of Jamie Vardy. His knees would just go sideways on the. I mean, look, Vardy's a fantastic player, right? He was.
Yeah. On his day, yeah.
On his day, he is. But I don't know. Could Vardy do it? I don't know. Shame Dunk. Lewis Dunk. How can we shame Lewis Dunk? Can you think of anything to shame Lewis Dunk with?
Absolutely not. I mean, captain, scores goals. England international at one point, right? Playing for Brighton.
I can't shame him. I can't shame Lewis Dunk. It's your fault. It's your fault, Swang. Every time you bring him in, he blanks. It's like...
Swang definitely got a goal from Dunk, so I don't think he has any right to complain.
Slam dunk. Someone's just... Mohammed's just commented slam dunk. All Jamie's have bad knees, Jamie Baker's saying. Anyway, right. Captaincy metric against the Mariner. The metric's just dropped under 80%, which is a bit annoying because I think that 80% is like a bit of a watershed, really. I'd love it to get above 80% this year. But it's still projected 630 points, so I don't think we can argue much with it.
That's a ridiculous score, mate. I mean, look at that. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 blanks the whole season? I bite your arm off for that. That's ridiculous.
7 blanks, I think, isn't it? 7 now.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's doing all right. Unlike me, there's more red on my second half of the season than there is on a Manchester United shirt.
Unlucky picks, right? Because you look at it on paper, right? And apart from Antonio, those are all so-called safe picks, right? Premium assets.
Well, Gundogan was a cock up in 31. That was a stupid move. In hindsight, That was crazy, but I think that was probably the only one I've really ballsed up on. Honestly, genuinely, it's the only one I've really cocked up on. Apart from that, I've been very happy with my captain picks. But look who's been blanking. KDB, Salah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times Salah's blanked. And I've captained Kane, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and he's only blanked 8 times. He's blanked once, and that was last week. And again, that's why I've been going with Kane. That's why I went with Kane. As much as anything, I genuinely thought it was the right option last week.
The fact that they won 4-0, I don't think we can fault ourselves for going Kane last week.
No, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. So anyway, right, let's keep going. The next one is the cat pick. So the community poll, I didn't retweet it, only got 281 votes, but I think it's still pretty solid as to who they've gone with. And the herd has gone for Bruno Fernandes, as usual. Does Sam have the ability to vote multiple times?
He definitely would for this poll. Although Sam has sold Bruno, so he's slightly compromised.
I nearly fell off my chair. I didn't
obviously he didn't have this in mind.
He didn't know there was a treble game week coming up for a fact, did he? Oh God, I'd love to have seen that. You're gonna have to start recording and putting it on YouTube, mate, because I want to see his face when something goes wrong. Anyway, when are we going to have a face reveal for Sam? Come on. There's numerous people been saying, when are we going to have it?
Let's make it a game week 38 thing, right? You know, celebrate the collapse of our seasons.
Both you guys, can you come on net that hall for our watch along at the end of the season? I've got 10 cameras. I can have 10 people on.
Oh, good. I have to make it happen. Definitely.
Make it happen. If we can all watch a separate game, we can do it like Soccer Saturday in Sky Sports. Screaming that, We can have live FPL tracking our teams and seeing us lose our mini leagues on the last minute like I did last year.
Let's hope it goes better than that.
Anyway, let's try and get him on. Let's try and get him on. Right. So, cat pick. Bruno, Greenwood, and Salah. That's the choice. Who's the cat going to go for? Straight down the middle. Just like a penalty, right?
Yeah.
Who's it going to be? Yes.
Oh.
The cat has gone for Mason Greenwood.
Oh.
And he, I think, is on about a 5-week streak. I'll have to check. I think he's now on about a 4 or 5 week streak.
Oh, this feels really scary now.
Well, we better put people out of misery because we've got people hanging on for grim death waiting for this captain metric, haven't we? Yeah. So, who is it going to be? Who do you think it's going to be?
I'm really hoping it's Greenwood now.
It is. It's Mason Greenwood.
Ooh.
With
You didn't show this to me earlier, mate.
91. He would have been an interesting, and this is where it becomes very interesting, right? Because obviously it's difficult to put these games in context because of the previous week, because there's only single weeks, double game weeks. But these are very positive numbers. When you're in the 90s, these are good numbers. And Salah is on his absolute coattails with 1 game less as well.
That's because of the Southampton fixture being so favorable, right?
Yeah. Bruno is 3rd.
And Rashford 4th.
Yeah, Rashford 4th. Now, let's look at this logically. This is and I'll be honest with you, it's an interim metric, and it has to be interim because until I know what's happening with those rotations tonight, they're all set at 2. Now, it may be that one of these players goes to 2.25, one of them goes down to 1.75. I'll move them by a quarter either way. Now, if that happened, if I took Greenwood up to 2.25, he would be at 94, and 1.75, he would be 88. Bruno would go to 93 or 87. It could still flip, being honest with you.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. It likes Mason Greenwood. He's had two double returns, 4 single returns in the last 12, which isn't brilliant. His fixture difficulty is quite good. His form is, his form's good. His form's strong. And I think that's the key there. He's got about 20% rotation, which, that's not too bad. And he's got 3 games. I think he'll play 2 out of 3. I think he'll play 2 and a bit out of 3. That's my personal perspective. And if we change that to 2.25, he is smashing that metric. He is smashing that metric. Salah has a much better fixture difficulty for those 2 games, right? But his form is crap. So this is the classic one, isn't it? It's classic one or the other, right?
Yeah, form and fixtures. Form and fixture.
Now, if you looked at that, I'm convinced Salah's going to go mad. But I would be, anyone who goes for Salah over a United asset, I think is very brave. But if they both play a long time tonight, if they both start tonight, I really don't think they will. But if Greenwood and Fernandes start tonight and play a long period of time, I don't think I'll captain either of them. I think I'll captain Salah.
It's hard, right? Because Ole started Bruno against Sociedad when they were leading 4-0 from the first leg. So he's...
Exactly. He's done it before.
Yeah, he's hard to predict. Although, as you say, if they don't start tonight, then that really... You'd have to be very brave not to go for a team with 3.
Absolutely. I think that Villa game's key. I really think that Villa game is key out of the whole thing. So I think that probably decides, for me, who I will captain.
Yeah. I like the Greenwood shot. I really do. Because
I don't own him.
Are you going to change that this week, though? Because it feels like you have to now.
Well, Jota's not bad, look, 88. Cavani, by the way, was 85, just to let you know.
So just not there because of rotation, right?
Yeah. But see, we've still got Mane still there, Iheanacho still there, 88. Very good. That's the chunk. That is the chunk there. You can see the bright green chunk on that screen. They're the ones. Because there's not much between 88 and 91, I've got to be honest.
No.
It's one or two. It's 1 or 2 double figure return or double figure returns and a little bit on fixture difficulty, and one of those would be at the top.
From what I'm seeing here, it's really just get Greenwood in and hold Jota for a lot of people who are thinking about selling.
Yeah.
And that Rashford's actually a viable pick, because I don't think a lot of people have considered Rashford. There's sort of perception that he's not fit, he may not play. But if you look at these numbers...
I think the only thing I would say about Rashford is that his back injury, I think if anyone's going to be not playing even 2 games, it'll be Rashford.
I mean, that's the perception, right? But Ole flogs him, right? He still plays him. He played him against Leeds despite not training the whole week.
I know, but this is 4 games in 8 days or something like that. I mean, this is beyond this is beyond crazy, right? This is a one-off. I would he want him to, would he want him to drop to bits before the Europa final?
Yeah, he really shouldn't. And anyway, Greenwood's cheaper, so I think if you're going to double up, probably he's the sensible option.
Yeah, I think it's sensible. And I don't think Cavani's a bad shout, although he is a bit injury prone as well. So how much he actually plays or remains to be seen. But you've really got a bit of a rotation conundrum, haven't you there? And that's why the metric that the algo picking Pogba maybe isn't such a stupid shout either. It's a funny one, but I wouldn't put him into I'm not putting him into the metric. But yeah, that's where it goes. So let's see how it does. But it has picked some pretty, it's been a bit far out. It went Iheanacho very early. It went Iheanacho quite early It went Rafinha twice in 2 weeks and returned twice in 2 weeks.
I remember because I captained Rafinha 1 week just based on the metric alone. Ahead of Kane.
And it returned on Gundogan quite early as well.
Yeah.
So it has picked these players before now. It has got them. It has that habit of unearthing someone.
Yeah. I mean, the important point here is the metric doesn't respect EO, right? EO doesn't feature at all in the metric.
Oh no. And why should it? Because it can't look at. We've got people who are ranked 50,000, 200,000, a million, whatever. It doesn't matter. With all EO changes wherever we are. So, I mean, again, it comes back to the fact that, as I've said, this is a numbers based, but there are some actuals in the metric. So there is a little bit of actual in the metric, whereas the other one's more expected, right? Obviously, fixture difficulty is actual. So that's the way it calculates. Then obviously, that game week rank at the end, that is key because that's the rotation. So you think about that rotation and adjust up and down on the basis of that is the way I would suggest people should look at this. So if you think they're going to play more, add a couple. 0.25 will normally add about 3 to the metric to let you know, between 2 and 3.
And it looks like you've been quite fair because you've only predicted 2 for the United assets. So you've been quite conservative here. And they're still top of the charts.
I'm being conservative, and the reason I'm being conservative, I'm not convinced any of them play more than 2 games. I've said this earlier, and that's why we're not going to do our teams. We'll do our team reveals as normal, probably on Twitter, right? But that's why I probably will not own 3. Or if I do, it'll be Greenwood. If I do, if I bring that third one in, because I own Shaw and Bruno now, if I was to bring a third one in, it would be Greenwood. And I would hope that he would outweigh the need to hit somebody out next week, because I would have to take a hit next week if I did it.
I mean, looking at these numbers, right? You bring him in, you get the haul. Then next week it will take care of itself if you've already got the haul. It's sort of Bale, right? Coming back to last week with the Bale. One of the reasons we didn't go for it was because what do we do next week? He doesn't double. And we're running out of chances for hauls.
And how many times have I been burnt doing that this year? I mean, I'm fairly conservative. I mean, look, I'm a claims handler when I work, right? I am fairly conservative. I'm not a risk taker. I'm not a real risk taker. Never have been.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So you have to look at it like that. Anything you want to add? I was just looking. There's not a great deal of. There's a few questions. How am I going to find a way to own Greenwood? There's a couple of questions. Nehal wants Greenwood against Aston Villa. I share your thoughts. This tells me I really want Greenwood. If Greenwood doesn't start tonight, or if he does come off the bench and is fit and doesn't pick a knock up, then I think I'd probably go over Jota at this moment in time from this week.
I think I was watching FPL did a show today, and they were talking about this triple game week, and they said yes, it's unwise to expect that all your assets play 3 games, but this is a once in a generation opportunity. The last triple game week was in 2006. You're never going to get this chance again. And do you want to be the guy who sat there and said, I didn't get 3 United because I was scared of rotation, or do you want to be the guy who just went for it? I think if you're chasing rank, you go for it. Even if you're holding rank at where you are, I would go for it. What is the worst that could happen? You're going to take a -4 next week.
From a player who doesn't play at all to I mean, when have you ever said that you're going to go from a player who doesn't play, who is injured, to somebody who plays 3 game weeks? So that's what I'd be doing.
And if you have to take a -4 next week, that'll be the least of your concerns.
Well,
it's just 4 points.
Nothing can concern me more than scoring 20 points. I mean, even YouTube's taking the piss out of me. We've got 20 viewers. I got 20 points last blood. I just don't understand it. It's 20. All I'm seeing is 20 everywhere.
I will take 20 points for Greenwood if that happens. I'll take it.
I'll take 20 points for Greenwood. Yeah. I'd take 20 points for Greenwood. Okay, right. That's that then. Let's move on. And who is the captain differential this week? And remember, I nailed that captain differential last week. Who would you captain as a differential this week, Sibber? Just before I release mine.
Well, if you're looking for differential, and I don't think it's fair to go for any of the United assets, that's probably an easy answer. So I would say Oh, have I ruined it?
Which I have. Go on, no, keep going. Go. Tell us what you think.
If you're looking for a proper differential this week, somebody who's nailed to play 180 minutes, Calvert-Lewin, I think, is worth a shot. If you're really trying to be differential, I wouldn't go there because I just think the upside of 3 fixtures is too high.
No, I that's not a bad shout. That's not a bad shout at all. The only thing is, I think he's quite highly owned, so I'm not sure he would fit into my differential sort of calculation. But anyway, look, I'll tell you what I've gone for. I've gone for Cavani.
Oof. Okay, that is differential. Very differential.
That's my differential captain this week, Cavani. Jamie's Zaha suggested Sigurdsson. Is he gonna? I know Hibbo and I have spoken about Siggy a few times. I really like him, but I've not. I'm a bit lost. I probably need an Everton fan to tell me whether he's going to play regularly. If we've got James back, and
he's played the last few. But I think Baker's shout of Zaha, actually, I don't know why I didn't say Zaha. But yeah, Zaha would be the differential pick if you're going outside of United this week, given the fixture. But Cavani's an interesting shout because he does show up in these kind of games. His numbers are really good if he plays.
I just think, again, the only thing I would say about Cavani, my doubt is, again, he is a little bit. He does have to have his minutes managed a little bit.
That's the issue, yeah.
But saying that, Martial's still out, so and he, and he is a super player. I love watching him.
Yeah, he's class, right? That's why they want to keep him.
Yeah,
it's just the minutes being managed. I think that's the only tricky part here. But if he doesn't play tonight, then you're expecting minutes v Villa, and then you have some.
Yeah, and of course the caveat is we're picking players before we've seen the fixtures. Who's going to be playing tonight, right?
So it's not the worst shot.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. But so that's where we are. So let's see how we do. Let's quickly just summarize where we are. So community poll is Bruno. Metric has gone with Greenwood, which I think is big news. The cat has followed the metric this week with Greenwood, and the differential is Cavani. So we've been really boring, really. We're netting that haul because we are net that haul. We cannot ignore a triple game week, mate.
Yeah, fair. Metric pick could be amazing, though.
It could be. Let's see. Right. So let's have a quick look, see if there's any questions. Just any questions we've missed, mate. I'm not sure we have. I think we've answered most of them. But let's quickly just see if there are. Righty ho. Let's see if there's any there. Here's one from Mohammed. Lingard and Fofana to Greenwood and Ward. Any goods? But it will leave me only 8 players for blank game week 36. Fofana's tends to get brought off early, doesn't he?
Yeah, because he's fasting, he tends to be brought off.
Absolutely, yeah, and probably rightly so.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Fofana for Ward, I guess you can justify. Lingard to Greenwood, I suppose that's something you can do this week, and then I would want to have Lingard next week, though. I think that's something you need to keep in mind, given the
only way I'm thinking about Lingard, and I have contemplated taking Lingard out myself, because that would allow me to then upgrade Vidra up to Antonio.
That's one way to do it. Yeah, I think that's okay.
That would be the way I would do it. I would want a West Ham attacker.
Yeah, for the run-in, you need to.
If I was to take Lingard out this week, I would take Lingard out for Greenwood, and then I could do something Vidra to Antonio next week. Is a thought. I mean Ward. No.
As long as you don't plan to start Ward beyond this week, I guess I can live with that, because Fofana's fixtures aren't great.
True,
this week.
Yeah, the fixtures are okay this week. They are okay this week, but like I say, quite frankly, the worst. The statistically, the whipping boys now.
Yeah, I don't have any expectations, but you're doing it to facilitate Greenwood, and maybe that's where the upside is.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's a question for you. We always get one question this week. We always get a tricky question. We've had, which vegetable are you? We've had, which fruit are you? And this week, from Jamie, Bang as a man of good taste. If you had to describe transferring in Greenwood as a savoury dish, how would you describe it? I've got to think about this myself. Have you got a nice savoury dish in Malaysia? You could perhaps, because if you're bringing someone in, if you're bringing Greenwood in, it's going to be a good dish, right?
Yeah, it's like having a really spicy, like a chicken vindaloo. I don't know. I'm sure Baker knows this because he's been in Malaysia before. Because Indian food's always tricky, right? You're on the edge of it being really good to you wanting to go to the toilet afterwards, and so that's where Greenwood is. He's at the level of it's the spice level is right. He's gonna smash it, and if it's just too high, you're gonna want to just be sick afterwards.
I actually agree because it would certainly make my bowels irritable if he blanked if I brought him in.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a high risk kind of thing. So it's a spicy Indian dish. That's what I say. Spicy Indian curry.
For God's sake, what is going on with this bloody? What is going on with this? I don't know. Right, who else have we got? I missed this one. Hang on. Nihal, would you consider bringing any sub 6.5 million forward in this week? Watkins, Antonio, Bamford. Watkins?
Out of those three, only Watkins, right? Because he has the double. There's really no point bringing in a single game week asset this week. You want to maximize your returns.
No, that's the point. That's why I'm probably going to hold Vidra this week and just bench him, just throw him out the way and chuck him on the bench, leave him there, and then look at going for the run-in with somebody like Antonio or even Chris Wood.
Yeah, I don't think Antonio would blank. I actually think Antonio could score this week. So if you really have no other option, yeah. I tend
to agree with you. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Sushet Kumar. Sushet, I don't know whether that sounds a bit posh, that, doesn't it? Is it worth breaking my team up to get DCL? I'll have to do Lingard to El Ghazi and Wood to DCL. Then hits galore next week to get a playing 11 in 36. Doesn't
it doesn't feel like it's worth it, does it? Because you're bringing in El Ghazi, who's I like, but kind of uncertain for minutes. Wood, who has a good fixture this week, you're getting rid for DCL. It's a bit tricky, I think.
But then he's got hits to take as well. So he's taking players out who are in form. He's taking players out who are, potentially in form. And I know Lingard's off the boil a little bit at the moment, but I do expect him to. I tend to agree with you. I am worried if I took Lingard out, I could just see what would happen. I think maybe what you should do is actually watch whether I transfer Lingard out and then hold him.
I mean, the one good thing about that transfer is he's bringing people who play this week a double and they don't blank next week.
No, he is. Yeah. And so, I mean, but then obviously you've got to hit yourself out of it. El Ghazi, the fixtures aren't great, but he is on, like I say, he tends to be on pens, doesn't he?
If he's starting, he's on pens. It's just whether he starts.
I mean, look, Wood's playing Fulham, right?
Yeah, Wood. I would be very scared to take Wood out this week.
I would be scared to take Wood out this week. I wouldn't. If I owned Wood, I wouldn't be selling him this week. Okay, we've got some Lingard blasphemy there, whatever that is. So Rendang, what's this? Rendang Ayam. That's chicken, isn't it?
Yes, it's Rendang Ayam.
There we go. Chris has been in Asia long enough. That's there we go. I got that right. So I think that'll do us. Unless I've missed any. Unless anybody got 20 seconds to get your questions in. Oh, here we go. Mohammed Hazik. What to do with Son and Kane? Benched. Play only one over the double game week players. I think it depends who you've got. Because I still think Kane could outscore a number of double game week players this week. That's my perspective. And Son could do the same. What do you think, mate?
I mean, it comes back, right? I said earlier, if Calvin Phillips is still out, then I'd be scared about benching. I guess if you had to bench one, you bench Son simply because Kane's the more expensive asset. And he has pens. So that's perhaps the only reason, but it's tricky. I mean, I think you're setting yourself up there. I may just sell Son if you're really not going to play him.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, Son to Rashford's an easy move, isn't it?
Son to Rashford, Son to Greenwood. I mean, if you don't have it,
Son to Rashford. So, best and another question here from Nihal, who's asking loads of questions tonight, but I'm very happy because we enjoy his company. Best player to target with free hit available in 36. So, have we looked as far forward as that? We've got a triple game week now. We can't talk about game week 36 yet. Who we got? For God's sake, let's look at these bloody fixtures. See if I can see the fixtures for 36. Oh, God. Right, who we've got? Everton are playing Sheffield United. 3 of those, please.
Yeah, you definitely go for it, right? You go for Sigurdsson, you go for DCL,
yeah, totally.
Have Lukadine.
Yeah, Newcastle are playing Man City. Well, I'll tell you what, not many people have Man City assets, right? If you get that right.
Mahrez, you take a defender, you take, Cancelo or Diaz, probably another attacker. De Bruyne, if he's fit, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Liverpool are playing West Brom.
Easy, right? Salah, Jota, Trent, Robertson, have you
Aston Villa are playing Palace. That's because we might fancy a little bit of the Carpenter. West Ham, Brighton, Southampton, Fulham, Burnley, Leeds, Dallas. Anyway, it's not necessarily a free hit player, is he?
No, if Rafinha's back, then I'd look at Leeds. Otherwise, I'd stay away. But Spurs play Wolves. Wolves way on the beach, right? So Gareth Bale. Yeah, Gareth Bale. That's a good shout. I think that's right. So I think there we go. So, what who do you say? Everton. Yeah. So Everton, Liverpool, possibly Manchester City, if you can find the right one. Spurs. Yeah. I think so. I think that's quite a nice way. Okay. Righty ho, and just one general question: how is Ward-Prowse the most transferred player in so far this week? So is he? Yeah, apparently he is. But to be fair, I think it's a lot to do with the fact that they played on the Friday, right? So Southampton played Leicester on the Friday, and people saw the fixture. They saw him score. Early transfers are usually influenced by the early fixture. I think that's it. Once you see this triple game week, nobody's transferring Ward-Prowse, at least not their first transfer in this week. Fair enough. So, okay, I think we'll knock it on the head, mate. We've had a great show. It's a crying shame that we haven't had Gabe in tonight, but hey, it's one of those things. He's busy moving, and when people do things like that, it's pretty soul destroying when you're moving into a new house and everything. So I think it's the last. So we wish him well. Thank you, bud. I'm delighted. I've been whinging at you for weeks to get you on this show. No, my pleasure. And it's a pity Gabe couldn't be here today, but I'm always happy to come on, mate. If I can make it. No. Thank you. And for everybody, I'm sure probably the gang who are listening here, our regulars are watching at the moment. Know Siva and his podcast, the Banger FPL Banger, the Banger Committee. Yeah. I certainly I love your pod. I think it's fabulous, and I listen to it every week. So if you don't listen to it, do get it in your ears, I think is what Hibbo would say. Apart from that, look, with netting that hole, you're even in the net, mate, if you look carefully. Ooh, nice. There we go. So squeezed in. I like it. Please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Please hit that bell for notifications. We're on the run in now. I'm completely burned out. Please, God, give me a green arrow. That's all we can ask for, mate. That's all I ask for. I don't ask for much, just a green arrow. And you'll also find this on pods, thanks to Nima. So go where you find your pods. If you want to listen to it, get it in your ears. Walk the dog. If you want to hear my dulcet tones and Siva trying to tell us all that, about Arsenal. No, with all seriousness, I think that'll do. Let's get out of here. It's quite late. I've got to play golf in the morning. So all the best, guys. Take care, and green arrows. We'll see you all
real soon.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Cheers. I'm just going to get rid of it. All the best, guys. See you. Bye-bye.